Okay, hi guys. Happy Tuesday. We are back. LA Dance Diary. I'm Abby.
I'm Rach.
And this one's going to be a good one. This one's going
Yeah,
to be
we're
really
talking
good.
about dance today.
Yes.
Okay,
We are going to
so
talk about dance etiquette, rehearsal etiquette, job etiquette, what you should do as a dancer and what you should be doing as a choreographer. We're going to do a little,
love it. We
you
thought
know,
we'd do like a little back and forth, like
yeah,
putting on our dancer hat over here with me. You'll put on your choreographer
yeah,
hat. I thought it would be really good if I could ask some questions. I know as a dancer, we're always wanting to know what's happening on the other side of the table. We want to know how to stand out. We want to know how to get the job, but
yeah,
also how to do well on the job.
yeah,
So, but I think it'll be fun to get some questions on both sides.
yes.
So, with that being said, right away, let's start with auditions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with that connecting process of
Yeah,
how you see dancers for the first time. How can we, with you in particular, how can we stand out to you for
yeah.
an audition?
I think energy is the first thing.
Mm,
I know that I'm going to be in a rehearsal room with you. I'm going to be on the job with you. I'm also going to trust that if I'm out of the room or I'm doing something or whatever, you're going to be in the room with the artist. Can I trust you to hold that vibe that, the artist is funding this or their label is funding this? And of course, they want really talented dancers, but like, are you a good human? Like, can you chit chat it up with the artist in a professional way? Are they going to feel safe with you if we're in a dressing room all together? All of those kind of things. So the first one is like, I just want to see a good, fun personality that I feel like is welcome and excited. Um, that would be really huge for me, and I want to
yeah.
enjoy the rehearsal process and make it fun.
So, energy, when you're talking about that, how can we communicate that? So, I think like dancers sometimes get stuck. We're like, well, we don't know you as a person yet. How do we show you that we're cool? Like,
Hmm.
how do we do that without like talking to you? Like, what
Yeah.
can we do? Is it about like how do we walk into the room? Are we social with dancers around us in the audition? Like, what do you want to
Yeah.
see?
I think, yeah, it's how you walk into the room. And I'm not saying, of course you want to come in focused and you want to be ready, but like
Yeah.
you can see the people's aura. I swear down. I
Mm,
think you can see how people emit an energy. And if someone is next to you, like, are you just ignoring them or do you give them a friendly nod? Are
right.
you aware of the space around you? When other people are dancing, are you being respectful? Are you on your phone? Like if I see a dancer on their phone, unless it's break time, of
Yeah.
course, like if you're on your phone, if you're like chewing gum, just little things like
Little
that. Like,
things.
are you, yeah, are you, are you,
Yeah,
are
it's
you
so
engaging with the
important.
room? Like, are you in there, like, yeah, chatting to people? Are you stretching? Like, how are you presenting yourself in the room? If you're sat off to the side and you're just like, whatever, and the energy is low.
Yeah,
And I'm
so
also
important.
want
I
to point
think,
out that I'm saying this about my auditions
mhm,
specifically.
yeah.
My auditions are professional, on time, supportive, and quick. So I am not talking about you've
Hmm.
been there for 16 hours and they haven't even typecasted yet.
Oh my God, that's the worst.
I am
And then
commenting
we'll
on
we'll get
my
into that a
audition
little bit.
process, which
Okay.
I will create a space where I feel like you can show up for your best self. So I'm going to expect you to show up for your best self because I'm providing an environment to do that. So I just want to point that out because these these might sound like judgmental things or I can't be sat down. That's obviously not the case when you've been waiting in line for 7 hours outside
Yeah,
an open
of
call.
course. Yeah.
This is more for a small call. So yeah, I can see how you interact with the space. I'll pick up on it immediately. Even if you come in and you say hi,
Hmm.
or, if you finish a group and you say thank you, or, say we're letting everyone go and we're like, okay, we'll reach out to your agents. Do you say thank you so much at the end?
Hmm.
Did you say, did you say something to a fellow dancer? I'll notice that.
You'll
I'll really pick up
notice.
on that. Yes.
Gotcha. These are
Um,
all non-dance related things. This is
yeah.
just being a good human.
Being a good human. And
Okay.
then I can see the energy through the dance as well.
Mm-hmm.
Are you enjoying it? Are you having a good
Mm.
time? Like, do I know that you're going to come in and like enjoy my choreo?
Yeah.
I want to see that it looks good. Like, it looks good and it feels good to you. And you can always tell that with a dancer. Are they fighting every 8 count or is it living in their body and they're just being an artist and having a good time with it? Like, I can tell that and I want to know. I want to know that.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. As fast as we can, getting out of the like thinking phase of the learning your
Yes.
choreo and more of the fun, more of the
Yeah.
performing,
Which again can be hard depending on the environment, but
Yeah.
as best as you can, even if you've just learned it, like just try and embody it and make it yours. and the choreographer will for sure pick up on that and enjoy watching you, even if you get it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not stressed, it's going to feel so much better to watch. And that's huge.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's great. That's all very helpful. What about when it comes to getting inside the actual job? So I think like, a lot of us we talk about these audition things, but some people, they book a job and then it goes and then suddenly they're not getting any calls anymore. They're not,
Yeah.
booking jobs because of how they were in the job
Yeah.
experience.
I swear down, so many dancers I think could stand out because of doing such basic things that I think can be forgotten these days.
Oh, like
Show
what?
up a little early.
Oh my God.
5
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
Don't walk in the room at 11 if the rehearsal starts at 11. Be in the room at 10:57. I'm not saying you have to come 20 minutes early. You're not being paid for that.
It's so easy unless, if you're coming from something and there's a reason you're showing up at 11, let the choreographer
Let me know. Hey, I'm coming right from this other thing. I'll be walking in the room at 11. Great, I know that. So if I walk in and all my dancers are there, because I'm always on time, I'm always early, so usually I'll actually be there before everyone walks in.
You'll be there before us.
I want to make sure that I'm set up and prepped and not wasting anyone's time. Me walking in the room and seeing my dancers are there and ready to go, that's one check mark off my brain that I don't even have to think about. If I have to message somebody and be like, where are you? It's 11:01, that's late. It's late.
Yeah.
Be on time. Definitely be on time. Come prepared, as in just come mentally prepared. Again, bring the energy. Like try to be awake and ready and try to look presentable. Doesn't mean you have to have a full face or anything. It's just rehearsal, but try and show up as the dancer that you want to dance like, if that makes sense. So if you feel good about yourself and you've got a nice outfit on and you've put a little makeup on if you wear makeup, it's gonna make you dance more confidently. It's gonna make you present yourself differently. So definitely.
Do you like when people show a little bit of body we didn't really talk in terms of like auditions, let alone rehearsal. Does it really matter?
It doesn't matter too much, but I wouldn't want anything, so shapeless that I can't see shapes and bodies on stage, especially if it's a more jazz funk job and I need to see lines. Like, maybe at least showing an arm, is good. I think people should dress how they feel comfortable in rehearsal, but it's nice to be able to see bodies and lines. So if you're wearing an XXL t-shirt, XXL pants, and a hoodie, it's going to be hard for me to really see and clean effectively. So definitely that. And again, I think same thing as the audition, showing up with a good energy, being happy to be there. Like
happy to be there, easy to work with.
Yeah, happy to be there, easy to work with. Be good towards your fellow dancers. Be supportive. See it as a team. It's not just you versus the other dancer. It's you guys working together. So if you notice there's a formation off or you see something going on and I'm doing something else, like how can you help me help you? Does that mean you pull the other dancer aside and be like, hey, I noticed our arms are off. Do you know what the actual thing is? Or should we wait and ask Abby? Or maybe we can just make a decision and maybe she won't even have to. That's happened. Oh my God. I love when dancers do that. I was in a rehearsal like a couple of weeks ago and they made the decision and then told me, they went, hey, we weren't sure on this. So we did this and we fixed it to be the same. And I was like, great.
Cool.
Don't have to fix it.
I love that.
So being, on the ball and like taking a little bit of initiative is great. And it's going to make you stand out a lot.
And I love that as a dancer. I want to be able to make a little bit of choices. Of course, I'm performing your choreography and I'm excited to perform your choreography. But in that space, we're not just dead bodies. We're here. So let's, fill the space and figure it out. And if you see someone's not matching you, we don't need your help,
And it makes it fun as well. Like, I of course, I like cleanliness and I like my stuff being done the way it's intended. But, one of the girls that I work with a lot, she's called Sydney. I think Sydney Kinney. Have you met her before? She's amazing. She needs to be so booked. But she's so good about being like, Abby, how about this? And she does it in such a suggestive way. And she always knows when the right moment to do it is. If I've taught a section and it's done, great. But
then
sometimes I'll pause and I'm like, and she'll be like, hey. She'll make sure, she'll be like, hey, how about this? And 9 times out of 10, I think 10 times out of 10, she's got a great suggestion. I'm like, yeah, let's do that.
I love that. Now, like fun. That to be said, not every choreographer is going to be like you. And, it is important to kind of get to know the person and gauge that, especially if it's your first time working with someone.
Yeah, definitely. And, I don't think she did that the first time.
And I think what is good about working with you is like now you've started to ask me, like a Sydney, you'll be like, okay, well, Rachel, what do you think? And then that to me tells me, oh, Abby's going to be okay if I voice a suggestion.
Yeah.
She's interested.
Yeah. And sometimes I do create that time. And I'm like, hey, if anyone has any.
So you do a good
You know,
job
this
of
section is I'm a little not
that.
set on this section. So if anyone does have anything, like I'm always open.
Yeah, you do a great job of communicating it. It's nice. Yeah.
I have a question for you. And I also heard a story recently.
A story? Ooh.
Well, I heard a story that a choreographer turned up an hour late to their own audition. Then typecast
oh my God.
without sending out the typecast first.
That was crazy. And like,
or like 45 minutes late or something. And I was not there, so I'm not going to say that I know. But I had multiple friends that showed up to this audition, and first piece of feedback I got from everybody was the choreographer was late. We were sat there, we were ready, we were full beat.
That's crazy. I wasn't there because, you know, I'm not dancing right now. Sorry, I should probably stop touching you. Hi. No, so I wasn't at the audition, but I think like as a dancer, I have been to so many auditions now that have been effectively time wasting. You know, I can particularly think of one where I probably sat for about 2 hours before hitting a typecast, and I was typed out, so I didn't even get to dance.
So what, as a choreographer, or just speaking to people who are, you know, whether it's a management or whether it's an agency, and then especially to me as well, let's start with audition. What space makes it easiest for you to show up and do your job as a dancer the best? Like what in your dream world, what would that look like to you? And what are some examples of stuff that has felt good to you when you have been in auditions?
Yeah, I think knowing what, as a choreographer, like the scope of the job, you know, if it's a TV show and you have to shuffle through 100 people in a day, or if, you know, we think about, okay, maybe it's a small music video and you really have an idea of like, you know, 10 dancers that you know by name, but you're open to a few more. So like managing the size of the call, I think is incredibly important if you can. And I know you do want to give people opportunities to be seen, to do their craft and stuff. But if, for example, you know, it's a small budget job, the audition size doesn't really need to reflect. It doesn't need to be as big as for a TV show.
Right.
So I think like I've seen, honestly, some of the most efficient or the largest productions, you know, for movies, for TV, where they, you know, pulled 10 people at a time. They really blocked it out very specifically.
Yeah.
With how it was going to be run, whether it's a thing that you can teach to 100 people and then wait and let 10 people in at a time, or do you need to teach half and half? Then you kind of know what you're getting into. Now I know as the choreographer, you don't always know probably how many show up.
Yeah, but well, no.
But you usually
have,
like
an idea because
because
usually you're the one that's set. Like when I did my last audition with Go2, it was like I got to set that. They were like, what are we looking for? Who are we looking for? And I was like, I could give some guidance on that. I don't think that's always the case, but I think that you at least have a heads up if you know if it's going on Instagram and you're putting open call this time, and you know that like with the Missy Elliott audition a couple of years ago, like you knew that 50 million people were going to show up.
Yeah.
Like you can't be shy to that.
Absolutely.
So I think, or even if that's just, you know, the choreographer getting more involved in that stage and saying, hey, I just want to check in. How many people are we expecting for this? And then maybe even being able to communicate that and just say, hey, I want this to be good for the dancers. I want them to do a great job. How can we manage this? And maybe even just being a little more aware.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think like the other biggest folly that people run into is like if they have a typecast in their head, but they haven't said it.
Yeah.
It's just like we all would just feel a lot better if you have a type in mind to only ask for that type to show up.
Yeah. And if someone wants to show up.
And if someone wants to decide to not come in and then you're open, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think it's been so frustrating. I've had times come in where like I'm very obviously a 5'1" individual. So, you know, I don't show up if it's 5'6" and up because
why would you?
But sometimes, you know, if they see that you're only taking the 5'9" girlies, then I'm like, well, why did I show up? Because now I see that this is what you really wanted.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's just I think about being respectful in that way. I think you're always very, very aware of what the dancer feels like. You're not so far away from us.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe if you've been on the other side of the table the whole time, you forget, how it feels.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And then switching to rehearsal, because this one's like my favorite one, because, I've just, again, different choreographers, different, just different energies and different ways of running things. And everyone has their own kind of, way that they handle different jobs. And, same thing. It's like, is it a music video? Is it TV? Is the choreographer been given enough information to do their job properly? Or are they also missing information if it's, something that's changing, whatever. But how, as a dancer, is the best, like, way for us to run a rehearsal? How do you feel that can help you?
I think, like, depending on the kind of job, whether there's like a artist involved or even if it's just dance, like, we know and respect that you guys have so much dealing with going on behind the scenes, camera work, all that stuff. But sometimes it can be hard if we're not acknowledged from the get-go in the beginning of a rehearsal. Like, if it's a larger scope thing and, we've all shown up on time, we started warming up, and it's okay, like, if we have to start with this person. But I think a quick acknowledgement, just making sure, like, hey, like you said, you want us to give you feedback. We want to know that we have some agency too. So if you know ahead of time that, we'll start with this section and, these people aren't going to get used for a half hour, let us go, do a warm up or whatever, or, go off on our own. I think, like, as long as the space is being managed, we, feel like from day one, part one, we're like in the middle of a process that you care, that we're there too.
Yeah.
And that feels really good. I mean, I think I'm pretty understanding when people want to choreograph on the spot. I know sometimes you need that. As prepped as you can be is helpful. As prepped as you can be. I do understand. I've been on both sides of it, so I know that sometimes it's not that easy.
Yeah, sometimes you really can't.
Yeah. But that's why we appreciate when you want us to have feedback, because if you're coming up with some shing on the spot, I want to give you a gang.
Yeah.
You know, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Anything else, like any other standout experiences from dancers that you're like?
Communication.
Oh, yeah.
My goodness. So easy to stand out through communication. And there are dancers that I will book over and over and over again because of just the way that they communicate.
Yeah.
Message, I'll send a message, send an email, whatever. Confirmed. Received and confirmed. One job off. Easy. Same thing, like, say they're coming from something else or they know, or whatever that situation might be, or even if it's like, hey, letting you know that this happened yesterday and I'm a little injured on this side, but I'm totally good to go. Just going to give you a heads up.
Yes, I'm just going to do this or
little
this
things like that.
Yeah.
Great. You're giving me all the information I need to work with.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff, especially when it's getting all those things getting to set. If just little things, hey, I've arrived. If I'm not there yet. My brain does not have to chase down 6 dancers.
Right.
Oh, this person said they've arrived. Check. Or when I get there, they say, hey, I'm ready in this look or whatever. I'm going to be right here. I'm just going to start stretching out. Let me know when you need me.
Oh, I love that.
You're helping me not look for you. You're helping me not chase you down.
So
all of
anything
those kind of
you can do to take control of yourself and be a professional.
Exactly.
I mean, those are very simple things.
Just those little things, like helping me, kind of thinking ahead of what I would want you to communicate with me about is just literally a game changer. And like, a lot of the dancers I work with consistently have that unlock. Like they think about things before I think about them, I
love that.
I love that. It just, it takes a whole weight off my brain, because then I'm like, I don't feel like I'm scheduling and organizing humans.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, so anything you can do to make the person in front of the room's job easier.
Yeah.
And of course, do it in a respectful way.
Yeah.
You never want to be loud, so loud that, you're pulling Abby's focus because I'm over here counting 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
And you can't speak to the artist,
And especially on like show days and tech days, you'd be surprised at like how easy it is to lose people when you need them for something. So if you're on a tech rehearsal, and obviously sometimes tech rehearsals get pushed back a little bit, or you're doing run through or whatever, stay in eye line. Unless you're on a break or unless you've communicated. So
Right.
if it looks like it's taking forever and you want to check, hey, if it looks like they're still going to be doing this, I have to make a quick call. Do you mind if I pop outside? I'll be back in 5 minutes. Great. Because odds are the freaking director comes in
And that's
right
when,
as at the moment.
yeah.
And I go, wait, where's Jake? Where's what?
Yeah.
And you're looking around for people and it looks like you don't have a handle on your own stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
So
and
it's
then
like
that looks bad for you.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So same with on set. It's like, okay, if you're on a break and you know that they're taking 55 minutes to set up the next camera shot or whatever, fine. But again, communicate. Hey, I'm just going to be stretching right in this corner. Hey, I'm a little cold, so I'm going to go grab something from the car.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just going to grab a drink from the vending machine. Just,
Yeah.
you know, unless you're on a scheduled actual work break, like just making sure the choreographer knows what's going on so that they can deal with the other people that are talking to them about 50 million things.
Yeah, your audition's not over because you've booked the job. You know, during that job experience, you're looking at, you know, how your dancers act and
Yeah.
do and perform and,
Yeah.
you know, for those next opportunities
Yeah.
because, you know, they won't come around if
Yeah.
you know, you don't feel like it was a good experience working with someone.
And I will prioritize dancers that maybe everyone I work with is so talented, but
Uh,
I will prioritize a good dancer with great communication, great skills at being on the job over the best dancer in the room who does not know how to be on a job every time.
Yeah.
Like if I can trust you and I know how you operate in the rehearsal and I know that when we get on the job, I can just sit back and do my thing and I don't have to worry about you and you've got your stuff on lock. Like I will book that dancer over and over and over again.
Oh my
It's just a
gosh,
guarantee.
yeah.
Just like little things. Like if I know you show up on time, which you think that
You'd think that would be easy. That's so interesting.
you think that should be a given. Like those 5 minutes traffic. It's like we live in
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Always allow an extra 15. You know?
Yeah, I'm so used to showing up early, and I get that it's hard because in LA you can't always get in the space early.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's becoming more and more common for people to show up on the dot.
Yeah.
That's something
just-
I don't think we should be
I
holding on to in
just-
2025.
I think just
Let
in
it go.
general in Los Angeles, even
Yeah.
aside from being on a job or being in a rehearsal, being a human in Los Angeles that shows up on time is
Yeah.
actually a superpower. And I've had it mentioned to me so many times about my timeliness and about I'm always on time. And I have a few people that I also know are always on time. But like you'd be surprised at how 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 15 minutes has become so normalized here that if you're a
yeah,
human
it's so weird to me.
that shows up for your friends, shows
Yeah.
up for a meeting, shows up for a Zoom, shows up to rehearsal
Yeah.
a little early, even
Yeah.
if you just sat there, you'd be surprised at like how
Yeah.
much that makes you stand out just as an individual.
Yeah.
I'm British, so if you're not 10 minutes early, you're late. I've been raised with that, and I'm really thankful for it because even here, you know, yeah, that's
It's just
like
a
a cardinal
courtesy
sin
thing. It's
to
a
be late.
courtesy
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. That we want to manage people's time. We want
Yeah.
you to respect our time. So respect each other's, you know, it's easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's easy to lose time really quickly, and time is money here.
Yeah.
So as best you can to, you know,
Yeah.
stay on top of it.
Stay on top of it.
Oh my gosh.
Is there anything else as far as a dancer's brain that you're like, in my dream scenario where I get to revolutionize the industry, it's happening one day because that's why people like me
I love
are
it.
trying to take over so we can do these things right and
Let's do
safely and respectfully. But is there anything in your head that you're like, dream scenario? Imagine if we could do this.
Gosh.
Sorry, just curveball. I know you didn't.
Shoot. I feel like I don't know. For me, I'm just such an extra dancer. Like I love the ensemble work, and you know, a
Uh-huh.
lot of what we do is ensemble work, but I always love finding a moment for me, like my little star moment, and you know I want it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know I want it.
Of course.
So yeah, I always appreciate when that opportunity comes around. Like for example, I'm about to do an assistant choreo job soon, where the choreographer is like, you know, really gung-ho about everyone's gonna have a solo moment,
Love that.
and I'm gonna go through the footage and give the dancers the footage even if it doesn't make it in, because
that. I
that
can use
happens
it.
a lot. Like, you know, we'll prep and we'll act like we're gonna have a solo moment, but sometimes it's not in the shot and we totally get it. Send it to us. That
Try and
stuff,
get those
yeah,
pieces
stuff,
of footage.
content for reels, like all that stuff.
Ah.
If there was a way to make that happen a little bit better, a
Oh.
little easier for us,
Yeah.
we would be so happy, I think.
I love that.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you know how like so commonly it's like no pay but copy meal credit. you know, all those things.
And you
that,
never even get the copy or the credit.
And you dancers,
or the meal.
dancers are getting the copy, but the copy is really like 10 seconds of dance interspersed with the artist's music video.
Like, can we get the full... I mean, I always try and ask for that also for my own, like, choreo reel.
Yeah.
If I know that the cut or, like, that main dance section didn't make it in, I'm so used to just being like, hey, is there... And sometimes
is there a way
can't,
to get
of course,
and
I understand that.
I was going to say, I get if something
Totally
comes up, but
it's always worth
we
asking.
appreciate that. Yeah.
And I will definitely bear that in mind, too. That's great to hear because, it's not just for me. It's like the dancers could have moments, too.
Yeah.
And sometimes even just to see it and be like, that was cool. That's what it looked like. Yeah. Love that.
Yeah, totally.
We want to hear from you as well. If you're a dancer and you're listening to this or you're a choreographer or you're just in the creative space, like give us some feedback. Like have you had any crazy audition stories or like is there anything that you wish you could see more in the industry that would make it more positive for you? Or
giving a shout out to someone who you've worked with who's so stellar. We also want to know and connect with you guys. You know, Avi's always looking for dancers and, you know, people to work on the next project.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for peers to dance with, as well as also starting to dabble on the choreo side of things.
Yeah. You're right. Sometimes we hear the nightmare audition stories more than the good ones, which is sad because I know there's always good and bad. It's just you know, it's very easy to like share awful stories. So I'd love to hear about good auditions. Who's doing it well? Who's like, you know, nailing it and making really safe spaces for dancers so we can shout them out on here too.
Absolutely. And like feedback for us as well. Like we're trying to, you know, not only make our lives and work better, but our podcast better. So let us know what your thoughts are on these episodes. We want to know what you're interested in talking about, what kinds of conversations about dance we want to have.
We'll do it.
Yeah, we're just trying to start this conversation locally in LA and, you know, expand it out into the world.
It trickles up. We get better.
Yeah.
Should be getting better every year, not worse. Like we should be changing things.
1% better every day. That's the motto I live by. That's the motto I teach by. And trust me, compounded over time, 1% becomes a whole new woman.
Yes.
So with that in mind, as a dancer today, or how is a choreographer today, how can you become just 1% better? Whether it's, you know, showing up a little more early, whether that's prepping your choreo the night before, you know, what are those actionable items you can to make other people have a great experience around you?
With that, that's a great way to end this episode. Become 1% better, everybody.
1%. Power of 1%, guys. We love you. Thank you for, as always, listening or watching if you're on YouTube. New episodes every Tuesday coming out. LA Dance Diary.
And we'll see you next week.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Take care.